Hello friends, it's I, the Boomer Consumer, and this episode is brought to you by Boomer Hats. Get yourself a Boomer hat. If you act now, I'll throw in some fishing lures, fishing hooks, add that little something extra to this hat. Just kidding. Shout out to Cheap Audio Man for his bogus sponsorships. At any rate, today we're here to talk about the Pioneer SR-303 Reverberation Amplifier. So these were like really popular back in the 70s and early 80s. And the idea with this machine was to add this realistic, well, I wouldn't say realistic, that's too strong of a word. Try to make music sound more lively, fuller, like you were in this huge concert hall with lots of reflective materials and get an echo going. And well, I don't know. This is probably the most interesting piece of gear I've bought in a long time. It serves no real value to the audio chain. I guarantee that. My hair is a mess now with this stupid hat. Okay, so the idea of a reverberation unit is to add depth to the music, make it more lively, maybe more lifelike if you're used to listening into a huge room with lots of echo. And they were popular for a long time. A lot of companies made them. Sansui, Kenwood, Pioneer, all of them had reverberation amplifiers. This is the model 303. I think it was made between 1980 and 1982. And the reason I bought it is because I'm putting together a whole system of vintage Pioneer, the silver blue line stuff. And this was the reverberation amplifier that was available during that time period. So these came with two different kind of effects. One was to give you a concert hall type effect, and then you could adjust the time and the depth, and you just get like so echoey you couldn't stand it. And the second effect was to take a portion of the audio, I think vocals mainly, and make them sound like a duet. That was the purpose, folks. That's what they made these things for. So looking at the front of the machine, you have this really trippy looking display, and I can just imagine how many people back in the 70s, 80s, maybe got stoned and just sat there and stared into this time tunnel looking thing. You have your reverb on button. You have the ability to record reverb into a recording on a cassette deck. You have a tape monitors button with an indicator. You can turn off the reverb. And then you have a couple controls on there. You have your time delay, which offers your effects 1 and 2. Pushed in is your effect 1, gives you the concert hall sound. Pull it out and you get effect 2, and that turns the vocals into duets. Then you have a depth control, and the more you turn that depth control clockwise, the more wild looking the display gets on this thing. Turning it around on the back of the unit, you have inputs for your receiver, right? And then you hook up a cassette deck to it. There's an interesting 6 decibel cut switch or attenuator on there. And then you have a unswitched power port on there. Always a good thing to have extra, plugins on these things because you're chaining them all up. Now I recorded just a brief demo to show you kind of what this thing does, the light effects and the reverb. Just bear in mind I recorded this on a really cheap microphone on a camcorder. So yeah, have a listen. Now, I was able to pick this thing up pretty cheap off of eBay. It's in pretty good condition. I had to put some deoxit on a couple of the controls, nothing major on there. This is, they call Bucket Brigade analog delay, time delay, basically, is what's referred to. All right, how do I think it sounds? Well, if I turn it down, it sounds better. If I turn it off, it sounds really good. I got to be honest with you, folks. There is absolutely no practical reason to own one of these things at all. You know, today, you know, in different receivers and so forth, you can do the effects console. It's all done digitally now. But this thing, it's just a cool piece of vintage tech from an era that, you know, I just kind of want to preserve, add it to the collection. I don't have to have it turned on in order to pass sound through it, which is good. It, depending on the music, it can make things sound a little bit more lively if you don't overdo it. But certainly, no. Your music is going to sound just fine without it, let me tell you. So that's kind of it. I just wanted to share. It's a bit of fun. That's all it is. Just a little bit of harmless fun. Something just add to my collection. They don't make these things anymore. They lost favor for good reason because they add really no value and can take away from the quality of the music. It's just kind of fun to turn it up and watch that light go and sit back and kind of get hypnotized. I refer to it as the time tunnel. Anybody remember that TV series called The Time Tunnel? Yes, no? Kind of reminds me of all that. Sansui made one that looked really trippy as well. That's it. I just wanted to share this vintage piece of audio gear with you. They don't make these anymore for damn good reason. But you never know. Maybe you might like to have one. It's just part of a collection for me. That's it. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.